uh-oh, he actually came back to Twitch. What's he doing? And he's not doing, off-meta games or anything of that sort. What the heck? What is he doing? Simple. I'm finishing what I started. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, coming over here to finish off my little discussion regarding the, finishing off my little discussion regarding this whole thing with Twitch and this so-called Twitch collab meta. I have now actually watched Devin Nash's video, and that was a pretty big risk for me to take, to come on here and have that kind of a discussion like I did yesterday without having watched his video yet. I was basically setting myself up for some very serious failure. What kind of an idiot would I be, aside from the one that some people think I am already, if I showed up and I rambled on for an hour about Devin Nash responding to his whole thing about the whole Twitch meta and stuff like that, only to watch his video and find out I was completely wrong about everything I said? Boy, would that be something. That would be a nightmare, a disaster. I'd probably have no credibility, whatever. That's not what happened. Seriously, holy smoke. Here's the thing. So, I watched Devin's video, and I'm surprised he didn't get quite as antagonistic as I thought he was going to get. Very, very surprised. I didn't think, I thought it'd be better than this. I thought it'd be more antagonism than this. Actually, he had a heck of a time talking about his idea. But the thing is, after watching that, I seriously wonder if the guy even listens to himself while he's talking. Because otherwise he'd catch that he was kind of waffling some of his own points, and he was caving on some of them. Sometimes, so he starts the video out. Maybe it's his title, maybe this is a metadata problem, talking about collabs are the new Twitch meta. Then later in the discussion, he talks about, well, collabs have always been a way to grow, and I'm involved in collabs and stuff. And I'm like, what? And there was some things that I had to think about after he finished his discussion. And I basically had some fun on Twitter. Like numerous other people with something that upsets them, just going on a bit of a Twitter storm. So let's recap. This whole discussion began as a result of a post that he posted about 19 hours ago, as of when I'm coming on this microphone here. He said the Twitch meta is permanently changing thanks to the success of streamer collaborations. What? Welcome to YouTube a couple of years ago. Rust average viewers have increased 586% in just 15 days. Collab is the future of Twitch. Oh, man. Nobody's flamed me, but then again, maybe people are just ignoring my points, because one of the things I run into with people arguing on the internet is that they'll argue about the same 6 or 7 things that they know. But if you think outside the box, so to speak, and you come up with a point of view that's not one of the same 6 or 7 talking points that all the talking heads are passing around, people it'll just bounce off their heads. Because they had their argument prepared to flame you on the internet and go back and forth about this, about that, about all this other stuff. They were prepared to flame the living daylights out of you if you walked into their trap, and you didn't. Instead, you come up with some thoughtful, original points that they can't respond to. So, yeah. Anyways, my response, and this is where the ruse will go next. Big streamers will have special servers, lobbies, etc., and be coddled to, while everyone else thinking they can do the same thing will have no chance of anywhere near that amount of success. This very point of people thinking they can do what the big streamers are doing is basically my response to him calling it a meta in the first place. If you think about what the term meta in relation to video games, what a meta is it's just the general way in which things are. And so, you have the general way in which things are, so the rules basically apply to you no matter who you are, no matter how big or how small. The rules apply to you, and it's a universal thing, as opposed to what Devin was talking about, where he says that he's basing this meta idea on the top 100, 200 streamers or whatever playing the same game. Okay, well then by the logic of what's presented there, you're talking about something that applies only to the biggest streamers. It's not something that goes all the way down the scale, as we talked about yesterday. When it comes to collabs, the size of your audience is directly related to what kind of collabs you can actually get. Because collabs are kind of an audience exchange. If one person is way bigger than the other, the bigger person has more to lose, and the smaller person has more to gain. And I can tell you, the big streamers, who very often have orgs, essentially, working with and for them, or agencies or some other folks who can give them business advice, are probably never going to want to collab unless they personally like you. So, again, these ideas people have that there's some kind of lucky break out there, instead of trying to build something up that you're happy with and add value to people's lives, this whole idea of I can just get a lucky break and be big is still floating around out there. When the truth of the matter is, if you actually look at lucky breaks, when people get hosted by huge streamers or whatever, the numbers persistently point to again and again and again that the lucky break isn't what keeps them big. It gives them a 15 minutes of fame, as we talked about yesterday. So, or last time, I should say. I am night shift, so my yesterday is technically today. I was streaming in the wee hours of the morning, and it's now evening. So yes, night shift yesterday. Thank you very much. So, anyways, back on my Twitter, I quoted the tweet and I said, once again, something on Twitch is lauded as new and revolutionary when it has already existed on YouTube years ago. However, if you've been following the Among Us and now Rust fads, there are a lot of hidden gotchas for all but the big streamers, and this is the sort of stuff I talked about last go-round. Now afterwards, I jump back on Twitter, and here's what I had to say with some smileys as usual, including the woozy face, which I'm having a lot of fun with these days, as opposed to the thinking face and stuff. I watched Devin's video. I don't think this guy even listens to what he's saying. Also, given how he handles the whole idea of a Twitch meta, I think the simple idea of fads or trends pretty much breaks his entire argument. Sounds more like peacocking to me. Meta is a highly presumptive term versus trends or fads. YouTube's had these sorts of things even before collabs and React content took off, such as angry video game reviews during the rise of AVGN and whatnot. Devin is clearly fishbowled by his day job, which is involved with analytics, talent agencies, all kinds of stuff, so he knows what he's talking about. But one of the things I run into with him, I run into the same problems with him as I did with, or actually it's the other way around. I found someone else who has the same problem as him. Highly experienced, but also highly narrow in terms of what they do. And you can start to notice when these people start letting their success get to their head, and they're starting to move outside the boundaries of what they know about. So Devin can talk the personal side of things when it comes to marketing. But he, like many commentators out there that talk about the multimedia meta, as I call it, the real meta, like many other commentators on the Purple Team on Twitch's side of the whole thing between Twitch and YouTube, he constantly doesn't talk about technology. A nice reflection of Twitch being behind the 8-ball on technology versus YouTube. Though Twitch certainly isn't completely devoid of algorithms, I've seen some pretty weird stuff from Twitch's algorithms that have introduced me to new streamers, so I know that Twitch is putting in the effort to catch up on the technology side. But these ideas of technology being the middleman between a streamer and their audience is something I see him regularly gloss over. Apparently in his world, there is brute force culture is so much of a thing that there is no such thing as something breaking on these platforms and the algorithms not passing your stuff around. Well, I got news for you. If you're going to jump on your high horse about that, there are plenty of YouTubers out there who would love to have a word with you, who have seen the subscription system on YouTube not do its job, sometimes by creating sock puppet accounts and field testing this. There are people who actually test whether or not YouTube sends out notifications regularly above and beyond. Of course, there is the limit of 3 things per day, but there are situations where people are playing by the rules and the system has either been slow to send the notification to the sock puppet subscriber account they created on their phone, or it never sent it at all. So unless people are explicitly browsing looking for content and the algorithms do their job there, the algorithms did not do their job in the simple idea of letting a YouTuber's subscribers see the YouTuber's new content. That's something that's been going on for years. It is more than possible for some technological thing to get in the way between a content creator and their audience. It's been going on YouTube for a very long time. And it is disingenuous to gloss over this in favor of constantly pointing the cannon at the person. You always got to work harder. You always got to do more. You must do. That sort of thing. And essentially, you rubber stamp what is getting them depressed in the first place. The feeling like they're failing somehow because the numbers are not what they want them to be. So we'll get into the part about how meta is a highly presumptive term here a little later on. Let's finish off these tweets. Matter of fact, I could even go so far as to say that for most of the time I've been on YouTube, being a ripoff has been a regular thing. That's another thing that could be called a meta. One person finds success, a bunch of creators get in on the fun, no matter what. I've been on YouTube for 15 years. I haven't been calling these things metas for 15 years. I don't even think the term meta in terms of gaming has been around for 15 years. I first heard about it with like League of Legends and stuff. So maybe we're heading towards that point. Who knows? So, here's the thing though. I've seen this so many times though, the rip-off idea. One person finds success and now a bunch of people want to do it. One person made a successful vlog format, everybody's vlogging. One person, AVGN, made angry satirical gaming reviews, everybody's reviewing video games. One person decides to evolve the vlog category into just their life and whatnot. Somewhat produced like a reality show, not like the vlogs of old where you did something similar to this, sitting in front of a camera talking. Boom, new genre on YouTube, daily vloggers. The vlog answer, the non-live answer to the IRL streamers. And then, of course, we have the points that Devin brought up. React videos, particularly with the scandal over Unsub the Fine Brothers when they tried to turn React content into something you license through Fine Brothers Entertainment. That didn't go so well. And, of course, now collabs. Of course, collabs, I think the big thing with collabs, it's kind of like how people think that there are more natural disasters happening in the world because our weather technology detects more stuff. And you don't have stuff, going undetected because we have satellites all around the world, radar, and all these wonderful things that older civilizations of antiquity did not have. So, collabs, if you think about how collabs work, collabs have always worked. Basically, if you have an audience and someone else has an audience, and you essentially do a collab and introduce your audiences to each other, there will be crossover if your audiences are similar size, and you really are introducing people who already haven't found you. There's always wild cards to collabs, and they may not always work in terms of growth. Let's see, let's just continue the tweets here. If I extend Devin's logic off of the internet, the All-Star Game or Pro Bowl is a meta just because top-rated players play baseball or football together. Seriously now. I don't think so much with the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is often a joke of a game because of when it takes place during the football season as opposed to the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game has ties to the World Series as to who has the home field advantage. So the All-Star Game... did I cut myself again? Got myself with the razor. I tried using a styptic stick for the first time. My dad's told me about those things for years. Like, yeah, use that if you cut yourself while shaving. And only now I finally stopped being a lazy arse and bought one. Yeah, still getting used to that thing, like jamming chalk. Yeah, I took the razor too high and kind of cut the side of my nose. Oops. What was I thinking? I was thinking maybe I should grow a mustache and stop doing this to myself. Anyways, the Pro Bowl is probably not a good example of that, but the baseball All-Star Game is. There's ties to the World Series, and people often say that the Pro Bowl should probably be earlier in the season and have some tie-in with the Super Bowl, so to speak, so that the NFL can have its players taking the game seriously instead of the joke plays you see in Hawaii when most of the season is over. But that's a sports debate we're going to leave for the sports people. I'm a nerd. Why am I even bringing up sports? Sports. All right, let's see here. Now, then it just went into, ha-ha type stuff. I mean, here's the guy doing all this talk about collabs and stuff. Then he goes on Scuffed, and I don't see it cracking 20K, which is down from what I usually Scuffed usually easily cracks 20,000 concurrents on average. Based on what I'm seeing on Sully Gnome, last night's didn't. 17,651 according to Sully Gnome for the Scuffed episode and whatnot. And that's down, kind of more of a general downtrend as Train has been at the end of the Among Us fad. And I don't know what he's playing Rust now, but I don't know if he's going to do anything else. Because I think in general we're going to see burnout with streamer games. Now we've seen it with Among Us. There's probably going to be some skeptical people out there who are going to be like, oh goodness, not again. I think the novelty of Rust will wear off faster than the novelty of Among Us did. So Rust will have its day in the sun, but I think its day in the sun is going to be shorter than Among Us because people have already seen this before. So, anyways, let's get back to this whole idea of meta being a highly presumptive term versus trends or fads. So, the term meta refers to metagaming, a term that I'm familiar with going all the way back to Neverwinter Nights. My early days of RPGs before MMOs became a thing with World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and whatnot. Well, the MMOs in the second generation that I got involved with, I knew a couple of EverQuest players in college, so, Ultima Online, EverQuest, I know about those games. But in terms of the second gen MMOs with World of Warcraft, leading the pack and blazing the trail back then, I hadn't yet gotten into that stuff yet. Knew a few Asheron's Call players, too. There was one guy, he was very bummed when the original Asheron's Call server shut down, and he was playing Asheron's Call 2. I even tried EverQuest 2 a couple of times, it never really got into it. It's free to play nowadays, maybe I should try it again. Just for my own curiosity and whatnot. But either way, Norath, woo! Actually, the original EverQuest, I think, is free to play as well, so maybe I should try the original game that started it all. But I'm so busy in ESO. Can I really add? I've got MMOs that are unplayed, like Final Fantasy Shadowbringers. Anyways, so here's the thing, right? Meta refers to metagaming, the general way in which things work, kind of the general strategy around the entire game. The bottom line, and meta is a general term. Meta is a term that you would refer to like everybody playing a game needs to know the meta. You play Magic the Gathering or Pokemon, you have to know what the meta is at the time. You play Hearthstone, what's the current meta? Da-da-da. You're asking for something that would apply to any player in the game. A very broad, general, all-encompassing thing in terms of the way things are and what works right now and what doesn't. That's what a meta is all about. Something that is limited to just the biggest streamers, that's not a meta, that's a fad. And it's a fad that as people smarten up to what's going on with Rust, just like what went on with Among Us, it's going to be less effective because people are going to be like, okay, I'm done with this. I know I watch Pokimane all the time, but if she's playing the latest fad game just like everybody else, I really don't care. I'm going to watch someone else. This attitude is gradually going to become more and more of a thing because, quite frankly, we're talking people here. People get sick of stuff. I hate to break it to you. Do the same thing over and over again, and it doesn't matter how much people like your stuff. They're gonna get sick of it at some point. It's just those things where, appetites and whatnot. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Couple of wild and crazy bands in the 80s gave us what we now know as hair bands, and then by the early 90s, there were hair bands around every darn corner. Yeah. There were hair bands, so people were sick of hair bands. So, hair bands go away, and alternative takes over, blah, blah, blah. People play grunge style for a while. And then people decide they want to hear uplifting music again, maybe even some metal. And of course, the European genres that weren't fads take over. We start seeing, for example, power metal enter the mainstream with some Dragon Force songs or something. The day I saw Dragon Force in a Guitar Hero game was when I knew that power metal was finally no longer niche. So, and some of the crossover between that gets power metal on the regular rock stations around here, that's definitely something to bring up. As a guy who was playing power in Prague as a wild and crazy Saturday night college radio DJ back in the day, in an environment not unlike this, because the studio lights we had were blue neon. So I just bring in the blue sunglasses and, well, now you know. People get sick of stuff. Bottom line, people absolutely get sick of stuff. Stuff gets old, people stop following it. And I think this whole thing, even this whole thing that Devin's calling a meta, is going to go down the same path as well. It's a fad that's going to come and go, just like Pogs came and went, just like, what's some other dumb fads that have been... Well, anyways, it's a thing. It may seem appealing now that streamers for very little effort can get a lot of exposure, but what happens when the general public is sick of these streamer games? Especially if they start viewing the streamers involved as having egos and being pampered, and they're not getting an experience in a game like Rust or Among Us that is like what the rest of us would get. I mean, you think about it, Among Us with the voice chat and whatnot, using Discord and things along those lines, that was something that if you've been playing Among Us since it began, and it was just type stuff, then... You know, now we have Rust, where you have custom servers. You're not having issues with, say, random people ganking or not playing right or throwing matches or whatever. You got that going on. I think even there are issues with GTA RP in the same category, too, where you see folks like the Chang Gang and other streamer groups out there that always play together on servers to keep the RP as high quality as possible, because if random people get on there, they'll get somebody who's trying to be funny, they'll just come in and use the orbital strike thing on everybody and break all the immersion. And I'll tell you, as somebody who's actually played in role-playing environments where folks were trying to keep things niche like that, it was a huge thing on my Neverwinter Nights server. You would get banned very quickly if you were constantly breaking immersion, because there was no streaming going on back then, but the experience of being in another world, essentially in a Dungeons and Dragons setting, is exactly the sort of thing that people wanted, and anything that deviated from that was dealt with in a very, very, very quickly. It's what you expected when you played on that server, and it's what the admins and moderators made sure was always available, because that's what they were all about. So, it's very presumptuous to call something that's largely just for the big streamers a meta. Especially when you talk about YouTube. Holy crap, YouTube. What am I going to do about what this guy's saying about YouTube? So, React was a meta. Really? Fad. How about shock videos? Fad. How about challenges, which can get you demonetized nowadays? Fad. AVGN and angry reviews? Fad. I don't think... See, YouTube's been general purpose the whole time it's been around. Some things get passed by the algorithm and may look like they're taking over the platform because the algorithms are capitalizing on the traffic. But that doesn't mean, for example, the people making other kinds of videos weren't still making videos and doing well for themselves. You take somebody like Hickok45, making videos about firearms. Guy's got a shooting range in his backyard. I think he lives in Alabama or something. But... he's still making videos even though the other fads are coming and going all around him. Or how about some other steady player creators over the years? Maybe they've tried riding the wave of some of the fads, but there are some people out there that have stayed consistent. So supposedly the React meta is gone. Is there still Fine Brothers Entertainment doing a React channel? Well, yeah, there's going to be people interested in watching that stuff. If you want to talk about a meta on YouTube, let's go up to the platform level. The real definition of meta in terms of people trying to be people trying to be influenced in a certain direction. And we can start talking about demonetization. That's one of the things I want to put on screen. We can start talking about demonetization. So let's see. The latest in YouTube's technological war against clickbait. Let's see. Down to the bottom. So YouTube has recently redone their advertiser-friendly guidelines. YouTube has recently redone their advertiser-friendly guidelines to focus specifically on gaming videos and how gaming videos are specifically affected by all of this. So, here's the thing. In this gaming video specific version of this, to try and explain things to the gaming crowd that's making gaming videos or Let's Plays or maybe even streaming, gaming on YouTube is way more than just streaming. This is YouTube we're talking about. Thumbnails and titles. Shocking and stimulating phrases are often added to thumbnails or titles to attract viewers. However, just as with video content, violative elements identified in thumbnails or titles will also earn limited or no ads. Demonetized. Look what's at the bottom. All caps used in title to catch attention, such as extreme fatality wins. There we go. There it is. Right there. All caps used in the title to catch attention. So those clickbait titles with all capital letters can now be subject to demonetization. Boy, is that something that shakes things up. What's one of the things that I persistently talk about? YouTube working on technologically deprecating clickbait. They rolled out the mouse over previews so that you can get past someone's neon thumbnail just by mousing over the video. And it doesn't just show up on the front page either. It also shows up on the recommended panels. YouTube actually has a situation going on. Well, YouTube has rolled this technology out. It used to be just on the front page and only in certain browsers, but now I'm seeing it more often in more browsers, including in the recommended panel off to the right. So if you're watching a video, someone else's neon thumbnail catches your eye, all you have to do is mouse over it, and you'll see a little bit of the video. And you'll see that, oh, look, bright neon pink YouTuber with a bazillion colors going every which way in their thumbnail is just some dude in a room talking. Wow. So it's a way of technologically deprecating the clickbait meta that's been going on YouTube. And now here we are with all caps thumbnails being, or all caps titles potentially being targets for demonetization. This is a new version of the ad-friendly guidelines that was published for... It's a new version of the ad-friendly guidelines that was published for gaming videos. But here's the thing. This is technological deprecation of clickbait, because what's one of the ways in which people do clickbait? All caps titles. Now, it could be the situation where YouTube doesn't want to get rid of, doesn't want to ban people for clickbait because they're trying to make content that attracts attention and gets watched, but they can encourage people to behave differently by essentially making it so that clickbait gets you demonetized. And as we've seen, lewd text related to sex acts. Let's get that off the screen. We're done with that. That this would get demonetized on YouTube if I sent it over, because the algorithms do read text. You gotta be careful with YouTube support documents these days, huh? So here's the thing. Recently on Creator Insider, there's a video that talked about how demonetized videos are basically a class below videos that are either monetized or not monetized. And that lines up, of course, it corroborates with guidance that YouTube has for creators that says turn off ads on certain types of content. Because apparently if you get demonetized, you might still get revenue from folks that opt in, but in terms of the algorithms and stuff like that, then you don't want too much stuff that's demonetized either. Otherwise, your channel could be flagged for review for monetization across the board in general. So there's a whole system with that, to where if you don't think you can monetize it, don't. So if you think you're going to be persistently demonetized, skip it. That is something more along the lines of a meta. This is something where there are real consequences for the monetization status of your YouTube video. So if you get demonetized too many times, it can cause problems for your account, and you're going to get demonetized a lot. So this is something that applies whether you're PewDiePie, Valkyrae, or Joe Random, who just made an account 5 minutes ago. This is more in line with what a meta is, not something that is unique to essentially a gated community of big streamers playing a certain fad game that Twitch is promoting with drops. That's more the sort of thing that you should use the term meta for. It affects everybody, and everybody can make good use of it. So it's something you got to think about with regards to all of this. So let's take a look at some other stuff too. All right, this YouTube thing off the screen. So all caps titles demonetized. So now what's going to happen to all these channels now with all these videos that have been using all caps clickbait titles for years? This is why if you get involved in clickbait, you win the battle and lose the war. So now that all caps titles are targets for demonetization by the systems, what's going to happen to these channels that have been doing that? Maybe they didn't cross the boundary before, but now they cross the boundary because they've been all caps titling their videos trying to get more views. Well, guess what? You get knocked into the yellow $ category, and now, bada bing. Algorithms aren't as good with you, and maybe your channel gets reviewed for monetization in general. Welcome to the wonderful world of YouTube not getting all snooty about trying to control people's behavior, like the upcoming harassment policy going live on Twitch later this month, but using technology to encourage people away from doing certain things on YouTube, like demonetizing videos with clickbait. There you go. That's a meta. The various fads that have existed on YouTube over the years, like angry reviewers, reacts, collabs being overblown, those are fads. They come and go. There you go. So let's take a look at this, and let's also revisit the idea of collabs in general. Collabs are not a golden ticket to anything. They don't necessarily need to work. You're talking about an audience exchange here, but let me just bring up something extremely important before we even get to talking about collabs. As Twitch develops algorithm technology, I'll just say it right now. If you want to talk about Twitch following in YouTube's footsteps, which even Devin brought up in his video, let's just say right now that there are going to be some big streamers who are going to feel like Twitch has betrayed them sometime in the next couple to several years, and they may even leave the platform because of the development of algorithms. Algorithms that try to, if they do what YouTube's algorithms are supposed to do, match up people watching Twitch with stuff they'd want to watch. Constantly introduce people to new streamers, so that way, if anything happens to the current streamers they're watching, they've already met their replacements. And that's getting really creepy on Twitch. I mentioned KIRLs. I was introduced to Korean IRL streamers because the S-Fan Ginny thing during quarantine in early 2020. But since I've watched a few KIRLs, being a night shift guy, so folks over in those time zones, it's the middle of their day when I get home in the middle of the night, some of the algorithm-introduced channels that I've been introduced to have been downright bizarre. Take Yugi, for example. Yugi TV. I've been introduced algorithmically to some smaller Twitch affiliate KIRL streamers who sound similar to her. They have a similar sounding voice. That is bizarre. At the very same time, there was the incident with Haley and the collabs she was doing. Yugi does a collab with Haley. I watched that because it's one of Yugi's streams. Then I'm getting recommended in the algorithms somebody else doing a collab with Haley because of the physical similarities of where the video is being shot, so to speak, where she's streaming. So because it looks like the same place and I've shown interest in that, those visual similarities introduced me to another streamer who collabs with Haley in the same venue, so to speak, her place. Because the camera angles were close enough and the visual data matched enough, I'm being creepy uncle algorithm style introduced to new streamers because of things like that. That's how I'm quite, disturbed by Twitch's attempts to build technology to catch up to YouTube. I know it's going on because some of the most bizarre algorithmic examples have happened on Twitch. Or maybe it's just because I'm not used to Twitch doing this stuff. YouTube, we know they've done this for years. I've been getting algorithmically introduced to channels on YouTube for years. To see Twitch doing that now, and some bizarre, more finer details, that is like, what's going on here? But it's technology. It's something that makes all the sense in the world from a business perspective for Twitch to do. So that way, somebody's watching streamer A, they decide to take a break or something, and streamer B is already available to watch. Like Asmongold, announcing an indefinite hiatus from streaming, he'd come back maybe after a month or so. What are all those Asmon viewers going to do? That's the kind of situation that Twitch needs to plan for. And how about if more Twitch streamers became like what I hear the Creator Insider folks saying YouTubers are like? Many YouTubers apparently take vacations from making videos in January while the CPMs are low because nobody has any money because they spent it all on Christmas. And many advertiser campaigns that drive up CPMs run out in January with the start of the new year. So what if there's a situation where January is some kind of golden month on Twitch because more streamers are taking vacations in January while everything's quiet on the money side? That's something to think about. But anyways, as algorithm technology develops, the old tricks aren't going to work because there's computers that are going to be part of the equation, not just people. And so these commentators that are persistently talking about things you as a person do, their advice is going to gradually become at least partially obsolete by whatever the algorithmic involvement is in what Twitch does. And that is something to keep an eye out for. Something very important to remember, that algorithms are going to be the wild card to all of this. There are already some signs that this is going to get more and more interesting. Matter of fact, we're on Twitch. We can skip that. I was going to do a spot check to see what's going on. There's a couple of improvements to the website design that Twitch could use on their main page as well. Like not constantly showing me people that are, not constantly showing me people that I'm already watching under streamers we think you'll like. Think I'll like. If I've already clicked follow on someone, that means I like them and want to see their stuff. So the category doesn't live up to its name, but I've been saying that for months, so... Either way, let's talk about collabs. Collabs are an audience exchange. Collabs are an audience exchange. So the audiences involved matter. Here's the wild card. As algorithms introduce people to similar streamers, and technology becomes more of a thing on Twitch, collabs will lose some of their effectiveness, because the odds are people may have already been introduced to the streamer you're collabing with via Twitch, not via the collab. Not to say collabs can't do something. Collabs represent the people side of that old diamond between people and technology. Thought I had a scene for that by now. I'll have to put it in later. But lots of things that happen on these platforms is due to some combination of people and technology. What people do and what the technology does. And this situation with collabs is no exception. So, collabs are on the people side of this. The algorithms may very well make it so that there's something kind of like a collab going on all the time as people are algorithmically introduced to your channel. Maybe even people from the audience of the person you're collabing with. So yeah, that could get interesting. But collabs are not a golden ticket. So if you're out of your element, for example, if there's a streamer playing Rust who normally doesn't play games like Rust, what's to say that their audience may even be interested in them doing it in the first place? So that's the thing. We saw something similar with Pokimane doing the VTubing thing. People accused her of just jumping on the fad and not really being interested in it. So, I mean, if you suddenly out of the blue decide to try and become popular by riding the coattails of something that is popular, some people may very well call you out on that. And not all collabs are a golden ticket to growth. If you're the bigger party, you have more to lose. And this is more of a thing with streaming than it is with videos, like we discussed last time. You collab with somebody, and you both make videos, people just sub to you both on YouTube and watch them whenever. When it's live, like streaming, now you gotta look at whether you're streaming at the same time as them, in terms of risking losing your audience because they like the other person better. Limitations of live streaming, folks. Of course, if you want to see the limitations of live streaming versus videos, watch YouTube streamers. And I'm not talking about Valkyrae or anybody else who's getting promoted, essentially. I'm not talking about somebody who signed an exclusivity deal with YouTube. I'm talking about YouTubers. Maybe some big ones, where they have 4 or 5 digit or maybe even 6 digit subs and they stream to 2 digit concurrents. Limitations of live streaming. Is it because their audience isn't interested in their streams? No. There's a lot of things with live streaming that aren't a thing with videos, that are like the time sensitivity and whatnot. As well as, do people even want to see you live? Or do they like the stuff you create because it's better produced than just winging it live like this? I mean, I could look and sound like I'm on the radio. I could do that kind of stuff, but do people want to listen to that? As opposed to seeing me, do stuff that's more edited. There's lots of things that come into play when you're talking about live versus videos. So if you want to see the limitations of live streaming, watch the concurrence of YouTube streamers. Not dedicated live stream channels, though. I mentioned the wildlife cameras yesterday and that deer preserve or whatever it is that feeds the deer in Maine. that basically live streams to at least a couple hundred concurrents and actually has a community built around wildlife cameras. People are coming up with names for all the deer that eat out of those troughs and all kinds of other things. It's really cool to see a community spring up around what is essentially, you know, camera footage, raw footage, usually black and white, not even in color because it's night vision cameras turned monochrome, of deer eating out of a deer trough. That's getting the equivalent concurrence on YouTube of a decently sized streamer on Twitch. And of course, there's another streamer that I've been algorithmically introduced to. I probably shouldn't call him a streamer though, because they are nothing like Twitch streamers. Nothing. This is a guy who's dash camming his police cruiser as he does police work in I think it's in Minnesota. This is very snowy, so it's called Live on Patrol. 10,000 concurrents of a dash cam in a police officer's car going around patrolling. Is it like the old show Cops? I don't think so. I don't even think he has a microphone on when he has to get out of his car and like talk to someone he's pulled over. I think he just gives the update when he gets back to his car. But both, I haven't seen him a lot lately. The algorithms introduced me to his channel because I've shown interest in live streams. 10,000 concurrents watching a dash cam of a police cruiser somewhere in Minnesota. Not exactly the next, you know, XQC or anything. But those are, but 5-digit concurrents, the equivalent of one of the bigger streamers on Twitch, and it is just a dash cam. No fancy lights, no overlays, no sub goals, no I'll stand on my head if I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll gift 100 subs if I can't beat this level in this video game. None of that stuff. Just a guy doing his job on the police force with a dash cam. No special microphones either. It's just a dash cam with a mic. It sounds like the way you think it sounds. 10,000 concurrents. Anyways. So, Twitch collab meta. You never know. All right. Is that a meta on YouTube now? Dashcam streaming? No, of course not. So, here's the thing. And we can go back to the browser and look at a bunch of Sully gnomes here. Beginning with Trainwrecks TV. Trainwrecks is pretty cool. I like his blunt style, so to speak, even if I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff. He's a great example of why you shouldn't, you know, why you should listen to people you disagree with to get their side of the story. Because it helps you, informs what you're doing better. And stuff like that. Now, one of the things with Trainwrecks is that he regularly spikes his numbers with his Scuffed podcast where he brings in guests and basically gains the benefits of collabing. You'll see, you know, there'll be one set of numbers when he's just playing video games, and then there's these regular spikes on Scuffed nights. Except, the spike this time was 17,651. I was not impressed with the average concurrence of Scuffed last go-around. Especially when you rewind everything to Thursday the 7th and you run into 23,605. Could be the case that maybe the guy... Well, no, Thursday. 2 streams. Huh, interesting. But one thing you'll notice with his numbers is they regularly spike, but there's a very clear downward trend here, even though he's getting into the Rust fad. So it's kind of bizarre that Devin's talking about this whole thing with Twitch and the Twitch meta, when one of the big streamers right now, I don't know, maybe it could be a cyclical thing, where there's less people watching streams around the holidays. Who knows? Anyways, the thing is, though, I talk about Devin having a funnel for his own stream because he's co-host of Scuffed. So he's regularly on a podcast that gets 5-digit concurrence, and he usually has about 3-digit to maybe a little over 1,000. More than that if he's doing something big. But talking about collabs as a meta, there's more than a few examples that I've seen since he said that of collabs not really working out as well. Now, we mentioned Ginny earlier. Here's her 365 on Sully Gnome. And we can see, if you follow what she does for their stream, she does all kinds of stuff. She's pretty cool and pretty good at what she does. But so we see here, getting into the lockdown, here's S-Fan Ginny Season 1, goes back to Korea, quarantines, gets out 2 weeks later, and she basically collabs throughout the summer. She introduced folks like us, K. Kona W, who never watch KIRLs, to her genre. We introduced folks like ourselves to her genre before going back to Korea for the summer when she was with S-Fan. But right before she left America last go round, she did a lot of collaboration through like video calls and stuff with a lot of other streamers over there. So I already knew she had a friend named Yugi, but I was introduced to Hachu, introduced to Unicorn, introduced to Auntie, aka Tyongi, through those calls. And I was like, okay, let's check out these people's Twitch channels. Exposure works with this sort of thing. And they all have interesting personalities, so I watch them from time to time. Who I watch depends on, what's going on and things like that, and stuff along those lines. She goes back to Korea. Quarantines for 2 weeks per the government's requirements, then does collabs galore. But the next big jump you see is around September, which if we check the dates... So first off, there was the Tier 4 Bang Bang in late August, the music video she did with her friends. And that is actually at the not so great in terms of the summer. And this is what I was talking about, where she had the biggest concurrence out of the 4 streamers in that music video that has now gotten 200,000 views on YouTube. Congratulations, Hachu and friends. But whoever's the biggest has the biggest audience already. They have the most to lose. And that's what I observed with her friends, is her friends benefited from the collabs more than she did. And there might have even been some issues there as well. But you don't complain about stuff as a streamer or a content creator. You just keep on trying stuff. Keep on trying stuff. This next step up is September, the Europe trip. And then Denmark, Sweden, Germany, things start to get going with the lockdowns and everything, plus the whole Europe trip gets kind of old. And then, boom. Welcome back to... She actually goes home as well for a while. And of course, here we are, background where we were in the summer. And then, boom. S-Fan Ginny Season 2. Welcome back to Texas. But that's the thing. Absolute hats off to Ginny. She's always trying stuff. I don't know how she puts up with the stuff she puts up with. It's just, if I was anywhere close to her as a streamer, I don't know how I'd handle it. I say she's amazing at what she does, and that is absolutely true. The way she keeps her cool most of the time, with all the stuff going on, is just really inspiring. How does she handle all that? I have no idea. Maybe when she retires from streaming, she could open up some kind of stream coach business. But the big thing to look at here, though, is the summer of 2020, collabs and stuff, but really, it was Europe that really did a lot, to kind of liven things up a bit, and then Texas. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Here's the end of Season 1, here's Season 2, boom! That's how it's done. Her friend Yugi, of course. Remember, the Bang Bang video comes out late August. So around here, so maybe not so much of a benefit, but kind of she comes home and, hey, there you go, doing really well. Then there's Yugi Crossing in the summer. Things she did during the summer as well. Lockdowns picked up in Korea, so now she's back around here-ish or so. But we see, Yugi Crossing and collabs galore happening during the summer with the KIRLs, where they're nearly always streaming together. Benefit from there as well. Hachu. Don't know what this is, because I didn't watch before I was introduced to her after the S-Fan Ginny thing. Didn't even know I'd never even seen her YouTube channel either. She's really good at YouTube, by the way. Wow. She's got the multi-platform thing down more than a lot of her friends do. So, and she's pursuing her passion with the Hachu Mart project, so her numbers might drop because it's Hachu Mart. But I'll tell you, somebody who's probably the happiest about what she's doing is probably going to be her with her store. So, and she's got a very good presence on YouTube as well. So the Twitch numbers, hey, out of all these people, I think if she wanted to become a YouTube streamer, she's probably the most likely to do that. She already has a very robust YouTube presence. It just depends on what happens when contract time comes up as a partner. But let's look at the summer. She made the Bang Bang video around here or so, but I don't really see. I'd probably have to zoom in on the numbers so the outliers stopped biasing the graph so much. Uni in the summer, collabs galore, bit of a boost there. So she didn't go on the Europe trip, so a little bit of a drop off after the summer. Auntie, congrats on getting partnered and stuff. Summertime, Bang Bang video comes out around here. She did not go on the Europe trip, so similar thing too. So the collabs are doing things in the summer, but whether or not it's good or bad depends on who you are. How about her brother? Mr. Crusting Kevin himself started streaming. Count created 31st of May. His sister got him into streaming. Summertime, good things here and there. Goes on the Europe trip, some benefit here and there, but now is kind of settled into this as he's off doing his own thing. So, but in this case, he's doing other stuff versus the summer of collabs over here. So, the other people I have as an example of how you can't really depend on collabs as a golden ticket. Here's Cuco, somebody who I don't follow because she did too much clickbait on YouTube, on the YouTube side of things. If she changes that, I might consider resubbing. But can you guess where she was on Austin Show's Lover host with Disguised Toast? Oh yes, this big spike. And yeah, she has gained in terms of average viewers versus before. But there is no golden ticket. There is no, I'm going to stay way up here after being hosted. This is a great example right here of why you really just can't wait for lightning to strike twice. You got to work on what it is that you're doing and decide what exactly is it that you want to get out of online media. Then there was the collab I saw last night, which didn't really do anything to Yugi's numbers, where she teamed up with Bubbly. Bubbly is something else. She's basically the opposite of what you'd think she would be. Kind of sarcastic, kind of Alanis Morissette type things and things like that, but I don't really watch any of what she does because she paywalls everything. But there's throughout the year and stuff. Some things going on in the summer of collabs as well. Some other things going on here too, just lower numbers in general. And then lastly, just to be totally random, Minx, because whatever. Actually, the dance party stream she had on the other night was pretty hilarious, and now she's playing Rust like everybody else there, so I got a feeling, though, that her wild sense of humor is going to make her Rust streams a lot more entertaining than a lot of the other people playing the game. Minx is a great example of a situation where it's not just about doing the popular thing. It's not just about doing the popular thing, but it's about fitting into the popular thing as well. So the reason why we went through all those numbers is largely just to go over what the situation, I mean, the fact that collabs are not a golden ticket. You can grow, but that doesn't mean you will grow. And remember, algorithms are the wild card to all of this. If you have audience A, your friend has audience B, you meet, there's some crossover, but what if the algorithms that your platform has were already kind of introducing the two audiences to each other beforehand, especially if they're stylistically similar? I like to say that there's going to be a meta, or not a meta. If you want to call it a meta, go ahead, but I don't agree with you on that. But there's going to be a pastiche fad on YouTube. As it might even be a meta, though, as the algorithms continue to get developed and similar styles of content get clumped together more and more. I'm actually wondering how well you can do and how well you can get clumped together by doing similar style content to other people that inspire you. Just get the production value in there so you look similar visually, and then work on the content so you have something that's entertaining. Indigestion, man. Not even had any wild food this vacation. Whatever. Hashtag fat guy problems. I don't know. But that's the situation we find ourselves in. I could probably call it a pastiche meta, though, because the algorithm would affect everybody. It wouldn't be just for the top YouTubers. And here's the thing. When it comes to the multimedia meta, as I call it, I've been introduced to several commentators algorithmically because I was already watching one or two of them. Started with Devin Nash and Harris Heller, introduced to Ashney Christ, then introduced to Quirky Pixel, then introduced to Big E, and there's another guy, I think his name's Red Eagle or something like that I've very, very recently, this week, been introduced to. Also introduced to Nick Nimmin on the YouTube side of things as well. But again, YouTube's algorithms regularly send me new channels to check out and get it right. And then sometimes it's just weird. Like yesterday, last go-round, I should say, when I was talking about traffic cameras as a form of non-streamer streaming. The type of streaming that if you're too fishbowled by Twitch, you may not be as aware of that it's a thing, and that it's actually popular depending on what it is. So, and I'm not just talking about MSNBC streaming on YouTube, or NBC News, ABC News, CBS News streaming on YouTube. I'm not just talking about that. So, I'm talking about things like the wildlife cameras and stuff like that. But I say, yeah, traffic cameras will probably be non-streamer streaming on YouTube so people can check the traffic, or maybe they just like seeing if there's a traffic jam in downtown Boston or whatever. So, yeah. Is there even a camera for that? I'm just making stuff up now. Now watch. The algorithms somehow are going to find out that I talked about downtown Boston and send me something to check out. That's something I totally expect from Google. So I'm over here talking about traffic cams as a form of non-streamer streaming. My front page on YouTube last go, or after ending the stream last time, technically night shift last night, has a link to a traffic cam in Wyoming. Saying maybe it's because I sent the video over, and then after the 24-hour rule, we can release it on YouTube. So it just sits dormant as a private video until the 24 hours is up. Maybe the system's already read that private video to where I'm talking about traffic cameras for live streaming and sent me that traffic camera. Or maybe it's the results of me searching for it a long time ago, but I haven't been really going out of my way to look at traffic cameras on YouTube. But here we are. It's algorithms, baby. And it's going to be more and more of a wild card and more of a randomizer in this wonderful world of online media. My question is, how is Twitch going to roll this out? And how is it going to affect streamers, big and small? Very curious thing to keep an eye on. But yeah, Twitch collab meta to pastiche a guy who I watch on YouTube, Alfred.tv. One of his lines is, "I say nay nay." Well, that's my line too. Twitch collab meta, nay nay. They're called fads or trends. You gotta think bigger if you want to talk about a meta, as in the difference between people problems and platform problems, or things related to people, individuals, like big streamers on the Rust server, and things related to the platform that affects everybody. Fads or trends, probably a better word to use than talking about a Twitch meta that really isn't big enough to be a meta if it only affects the top streamers. That's our show. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.